It was a calm morning in Baker Street. That peculiar stillness which only a London winter can bestow, when the air is crisp and the chimneys breathe pale ribbons of smoke skyward, mingling with the muffled hum of distant carriages. Holmes sat opposite me, his long frame folded carelessly upon the sofa, his grey eyes half-lidded in abstraction, a violin resting upon his knees like some strange relic of thought. "You observe, Watson," said Holmes suddenly, without raising his gaze from the varnished wood, "how the very atmosphere foretells the character of the day. The stillness implies interruption. Interruption? You mean some client will disturb our peace? Precisely. It's... Observe the postboy's shadow upon the curtain, steady yet impatient. A messenger with purpose waits below. Indeed, a blue-liveried boy stood at the threshold of 221B, a small parcel in his gloved hands. I fetched the door myself, for Mrs. Hudson's step was distant down the corridor. Message from Lady Eustace, sir, for Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Her coach waits yonder. Very good, my lad. I slipped him a coin and returned upstairs. Holmes had already lit his pipe, reading himself in a ghostly cloud of blue smoke. Ah! The seal. Duck blue wax impressed with an aquatic crest. Lady Eustace of Marlebury Square, if memory serves. Open it, Watson. I prefer observation to anticipation. The letter, written in hurried yet elegant hand, spoke of a missing heirloom known as the Blue Duckling, a porcelain bird of rare azure glaze, last seen upon her mantel the previous night. Ah! The lady begged Holmes's immediate attendance. A curious appellation, Blue Duckling. The diminutive form suggests sentimentality rather than value. Yet sentiment often conceals motive. You mean the theft may not be for gain? Observed its pink powder along the seal. China dust. Unmistakably Wedgwood composition. Our thief handled pottery recently. Prepare yourself, Watson. We shall call upon Lady Eustace within the hour. Within minutes, our hansom cab rattled through the fog-stained avenues toward the west. I have often remarked that London's streets, when seen through a winter haze, appear like arteries of a living giant, pulsing with unseen intent. Watson, recall our last porcelain affair, the Crimson Parrot, The artisan's glaze concealed a smuggler's cipher. I suspect the Blue Duckling may sing a similar tune. Then you think the ornament hides something? Possibly a message, perhaps a gem. More likely, a reason for deceit. The human motive, Watson, is the glaze that coats every crime. At length we arrived before Marlebury Square, a mansion of pale stone and ornamental balconies, where Lady Eustace awaited us in evident agitation. A new layer of soot upon the heading, and recent repairs. Notice also the broken tile by the entry, Watson. We shall find its twin inside. Mr. Holmes, thank heaven you have come. Her duckling, my father's keepsake, vanished as though the earth had swallowed it. Be calm, Lady Eustace. We shall trace your Blue Duckling. Tell me, who last saw it upon this mantel? My maid, Clara Henshaw, dusted the room at 9:30. By 10, I entered myself, and it was gone. Only the stand remained, cold to the touch. Cold, you say? Excellent! Then it had been recently disturbed, possibly removed from a warmer environment. Watson, feel this trace of damp glaze. It is indeed moist as though wiped with a cloth. Exactly, my dear Watson. Observe the cabinet. One porcelain duck remains, white and unremarkable. Its twin blue is missing, yet the dust outline shows the blue stood here only recently. Lady Eustace, who besides her maid entered this room last night? Only my cousin, Mr. Henry Eustace. He called to inquire about my health and admired the collection, but surely he would never. We accuse no one, madam. We only seek truth. Pray, may I question your maid and inspect the servants' corridor? Here, Watson. Note this patch where the dust is disturbed, the outline of a small wooden box once set here. And there, a drop of blue glaze. Then the object was carried through this way? Undoubtedly, yet see how the hinge bears a streak of oil fresh from a servant's lamp. Why, stay. Enfin, the thief used caution. Lady Eustace, your maid's lamp. Is it filled with linseed oil? No, sir. Clara uses tallow candles only. Then, Watson, all mystery takes flight. For the Blue Duckling has left upon the wing of deception, and someone other than the maid has carried it. Tomorrow we return, for tonight the trail cools as the porcelain itself. Thus ended our first day's inquiry into the Blue Duckling, a case which promised to flutter through many hands before returning to its rightful nest. Yet in Holmes's countenance I read the certainty of pursuit, for to him everything was elementary, even the flight of a stolen bird of porcelain. Dawn broke over Marlebury Square in pale gold, casting long, hesitant shadows across the cobblestones. Holmes and I returned early, determined to continue our inquiry into the Blue Duckling, that small cerulean enigma which had already drawn our attention to subtle clues invisible to the casual eye. Watson, observe the pattern in which the dust has been disturbed. It is not linear nor haphazard. He moved cautiously, yet the smallest misstep is recorded here. I see a small arc here, suggesting the object was carried along the edge of the rug rather than across it. Remarkable precision, Holmes. Indeed, and notice, Watson, a single feather rests near the rug's edge. Not a domestic bird's, but perhaps imported, a species ornamental rather than natural. This may be our first tangible clue. The feather was slender, dyed faintly blue at its tip, delicate and artificial. A decorative piece, then, I remarked, perhaps used in millinery or interior adornment. Correct, Watson. And its placement, outside the dust trail, suggests it fell accidentally, revealing a misstep in what the thief deemed careful. Such trifles are rarely overlooked by the observant. We were interrupted by the faint sound of scuttling footsteps from the servants' corridor. Holmes's keen eye caught a movement behind a half-open door. Sir Holmes, I didn't hear you arrive. Was there trouble, Miss Henshaw? Merely inquiry. Pray tell us, did you observe anything unusual last evening? A visitor, a sound, a shadow, even the faintest whisper? There was a noise, sir. A soft footfall in the drawing-room, though I was certain it was the wind. And a strange glint, as if someone carried a small object. I thought it a trick of the lamplight. Excellent, Miss Henshaw. You have observed more than you realize. Watson, the glint suggests metallic or glazed surface, likely the blue duckling in a hand of our intruder. Holmes then guided the maid to recount all comings and goings of household staff the previous night. Each shadow, each candlelit corridor became a thread in the web of deduction. And the servant Henry? Miss Henshaw, you noticed nothing peculiar? Well, sir, now that you mention it, Henry did linger longer than usual in the corridor near the rear entrance. Oh! Seemed agitated. Ah, Watson, agitation is always a signal of concealed action. We shall observe this Henry carefully and examine the rear entrance for traces of passage. The mud upon the doorstep bore traces of a peculiar blue powder, the same color as the missing duckling. Here is our tangible connection. Powder from the blue duckling, indicating passage, likely by the hand of one familiar with both the household and the object.
Yeah, Rose.
Then, we have narrowed our suspect field considerably. Holmes insisted we search Henry's quarters discreetly. There, hidden beneath his worn cot, we discovered a small velvet pouch containing a fragment of blue porcelain, unmistakably part of the blue duckling. Holmes, the case seems solved. Henry intended to remove the blue duckling. Not quite, Watson. Observe only a fragment. He cannot have completed the theft. Perhaps another party is involved, more experienced, more daring. This explains the care taken in the drawing room, and so, with the feather, the powder, and Henry's fragment in hand, Holmes charted a meticulous plan to confront the remaining mystery. Every trace, every slip of the hand, every fragment of porcelain would bring the blue duckling one step closer to its nest, and to justice. Watson, tomorrow we shall set a trap. The thief is cautious, but all deception leaves a thread. We will watch, and the blue duckling shall return unharmed. Thus concluded the day's pursuit of clues, from feather to fragment, from maid to servant, and still the true culprit remained concealed. Yet, under Holmes's keen supervision, I knew that each small discovery edged us nearer to unveiling the clever hand behind the blue duckling's disappearance. The night air was heavy with mist as Holmes and I took our positions in the shadowed room overlooking D, the servants' corridor. A single candle flickered upon the sill, casting uncertain light, while beyond the glass, the gas lamp struggled to penetrate the London fog. We were prepared for observation, and anticipation clung like the damp to my coat. Watson, observe the subtle shifts of shadow upon the polished floor. Each movement in the servants' corridor can betray intent. Patience, my dear fellow, is the true accomplice in observation. We watched in silence for nearly an hour, the stillness broken only by the occasional creak of floorboards and the muted ticking of the drawing-room clock. What? Then a faint sound, deliberate and controlled, caught Holmes's ear. There! A cautious footfall approaching the rear entrance. Light, yet measured. The thief returns, Watson. Prepare yourself. We must observe, but not reveal. Through the dim light, a figure emerged. Small, nimble, gloved hands careful not to touch the threshold. The faintest glint of blue caught the eye. The porcelain duck, or a fragment, perhaps? See, Watson, the manner is precise, yet anxious. The one who moves thus is not accustomed to stealth. Observe the hesitation at the third step, uncertainty in execution. Note also the powder of blue beneath the left shoe. Our previous evidence remains. Suddenly, the intruder bent over to retrieve an object from the threshold, the fragment of the blue duckling perhaps dislodged from the velvet pouch. Holmes's eyes sparkled with understanding. Watson, observe the position of the hands. The left hovers to steady, the right manipulates. The object is small, fragile, blue, unmistakably the blue duckling. Our thief returns for completion. I could barely contain my astonishment when the figure froze, as if sensing observation, then slipped rapidly into the shadows leading toward the rear stables. Holmes, however, remained unflustered. Note, Watson, the arc of footprints. Intruder favors the left wall, avoiding direct light. Powder is more concentrated here, a breadcrumb for the observant mind. A trail led us to a small door beneath the tack room, a seldom-used entrance we had overlooked. Holmes motioned me to remain silent, and together we observed the intruder fumble with the lock. Observe, Watson, the thief is left-handed. The manipulation of lock-pins is distinctive. Notice the hesitation, uncertainty of skill. This is not our experienced burglar. At length, the door yielded. The figure entered silently, clutching the blue duckling fragment, leaving the trail of blue powder behind. Holmes's mind seemed to unravel possibilities at lightning speed. Elementary, Watson. The intruder's caution indicates fear, likely of detection by household authority. Well, yet the fragment's presence here shows intent. The complete theft was meant, but interrupted. We are closing in on the solution. Holmes decided we must await the intruder's next move, and so we concealed ourselves until the first light of dawn. When morning arrived, the servant Henry appeared, moving furtively with a bundle under his coat. Observe, Watson, the bundle's weight is small but deliberate. He moves toward the back alley. We must follow discreetly. Patience now, courage later. Following the trail, Holmes and I saw Henry deposit the bundle in a small, concealed recess behind a loose brick. We now knew where the fragment, and perhaps the full duckling, awaited. Watson, the game thickens. We are no longer observing merely, we are preparing for confrontation. Tomorrow, we shall recover the blue duckling in full, and the thief will reveal himself. And so ended our third day, midnight observation, the trail of powder, the careful manipulation of locks, and the hidden recess behind the alley wall. Holmes's mind had already calculated the next day's maneuver, the recovery and ultimate revelation. The day had waned into a grey, wind-lashed evening when Holmes and I took our positions within the rear alley behind Marlebury Square. The brick recess, discovered during our midnight vigil, contained the fragment of the blue duckling. Holmes's plan, intricate yet subtle, required only patience and precise timing. Watson, the thief, shall return. He is predictable, bounded by fear and desire alike. Observe carefully the pattern of steps. Every cautious repetition is a breadcrumb for the observant mind. We waited for nearly 2 hours, the wind whispering through the narrow alley, when finally a shadow detached itself from the far corner. Henry emerged, glancing nervously around, and approached the concealed recess. Observe, Watson, see the caution in his step. Note the hesitancy near the brick. Time betrays him even as his body acts. Henry reached into the recess and retrieved the small velvet pouch. Holmes motioned me to remain still while he stepped into the alley, appearing as a shadow among shadows. Henry, he called, voice calm but commanding. I believe you have something that belongs to Lady Eustace. Sir, I did not mean. Pray, explain yourself, Henry. How came this fragment into your possession? I found it. I swear I did not steal the duckling. I feared someone else would take it, so I hid the fragment. Indeed? A hiding place in the alley? Curious. And yet, why leave the rest of the blue duckling in the house? You cannot act without risk, Henry. Who instructed you? It was. I do not mean to say, sir. Please, I can explain. I only wish to protect it for my cousin, Henry Eustace's companion, a man who coveted it for himself. The web thickens. A second party, more experienced, more daring. Watson, fetch Lady Eustace, gently, without alerting Henry to full consequence. Mr. Holmes, is it safe to return? Has my duckling been found? Patience, Lady Eustace. Observe, the fragment has been recovered, and the thief, or at least one hand in the affair, is now revealed. Come, see the duckling in its restored place. Henry, confronted gently yet firmly, confessed the involvement of his cousin's associate, a man of cleverness, seeking to gain the duckling for collection or profit. Or Brodul, the fragment he had taken was but a diversion, to mislead anyone pursuing. Watson, the puzzle pieces converge. The second party underestimated our patience and observation. Soon we shall recover the remainder of the duckling, and the lesson of honesty and foresight will be illustrated. By nightfall, the blue duckling was returned to its rightful place upon the mantel, its blue glaze glimmering faintly in the lantern light. Holmes had orchestrated its safe recovery without force or confrontation beyond quiet observation. Elementary, Watson. Each misstep, each hesitation, each dust particle, all contributed to our success. Duckling returns, the lesson is clear, and the guilty party's plan unmasked without violence. And thus concluded the fourth day, confrontation, confession, and the restoration of the blue duckling. Holmes's theory of deduction had once again revealed the truth hidden in shadow, and I remained in awe at his unerring logic. The morning after the blue duckling's return was calm, almost serenely so. London's streets hummed faintly with the first stirrings of commerce, and the fog had lifted, revealing the worn cobbles glistening beneath the gentle sun. Holmes and I sat once more in our familiar rooms 221B, reflecting on the series of events that had unfolded. Watson, the curious nature of this case lies not merely in the theft, but in the subtle interplay of fear, miscalculation, and human weakness. Henry's error was predictable, yet the real mastermind remained concealed until our patient observation. Indeed, Holmes. The fragment in the alley, the powder traces, the maid's observations, all led to the culmination of your deduction. I am constantly astonished by your ability to connect seemingly trivial details into a coherent picture. Elementary, my dear Watson. Consider the feather. Trivial, yes, yet indicative of intent and movement. Consider the hesitation in the alley, a silent confession embedded in body language. Yeah. Each small sign is a piece of the puzzle. Later that day, we paid a brief visit to Lady Eustace to ensure the Blue Duckling remained safe and to explain the sequence of events with discretion and tact. Good gratitude was as warm as the sun shining through the tall windows of her drawing room. Lady Eustace observed the care with which the duckling was handled, both by the thief and by those who sought to conceal it. We recovered the fragment, restored it, and the culprit's intention has been revealed through nothing but careful deduction. Henry, though trembling, expressed remorse and understanding of the dangers of his concealment. Holmes gently reminded him that truth, caution, and transparency often prevent harm more effectively than fear or secrecy. Remember, Henry, concealment breeds uncertainty. Your actions, though meant to protect, almost allowed chaos to prevail. And learn from this. Returning to Baker Street, Holmes settled into his armchair with the calm serenity of a man satisfied by logic and foresight. I too felt a sense of closure, yet remained in awe of his methodical brilliance. Watson, note that the significance of small, seemingly insignificant details is never to be underestimated. Each feather, each powder trace, each hesitation is a letter in the story of human behavior. Deduction is not merely observation, it is understanding intent behind action.
I reflected on the human elements in our case: fear, curiosity, ambition, and conscience.
Holmes had guided us through every subtle sign, connecting human psychology to physical evidence in a manner both exacting and profound. Elementary, Watson. Always remember, the mind capable of deduction must be patient, observant, and skeptical of appearances. The truth lies beneath surfaces, often hidden in what most overlook. That evening, we shared a quiet meal. The Blue Duckling, safely restored, gleamed in memory and in story. Holmes reclined, thoughtful, as I penned my reflections. The adventure, now concluded, left a lingering lesson about the intricacies of human behavior and the certainty of reason when applied with discipline. Watson, remember this: a small fragment, a simple feather, a tiny powder trace, each is a signpost pointing toward the truth. Deduction is the bridge between chaos and clarity, and so concluded the adventure of the Blue Duckling. And not patient observation, subtle reasoning, and careful deduction, Holmes had not only restored the missing porcelain to its rightful place, but had illuminated the enduring lesson that the truth, however concealed, is always accessible to the keen and patient mind. As I closed my journal, I knew that in the quiet aftermath, the Blue Duckling's adventure had been more than a mystery of theft. It had been a lesson in observation, human nature, and the meticulous artistry of deduction.